Max Meyer, one of the top pitching prospects in baseball, the Miami Marlins top pitching prospect, ranked number 28 in all of baseball by MLB Pipeline. He has a very bright future ahead of him after being drafted third overall in the 2020 MLB draft by the Miami Marlins. Big future ahead of him. We'll dive into him, his future, what lies ahead for him, and when you can expect him to see in the big leagues. All this right here on the Max Meyer Prospect Pipeline on Bleacher Brawls. My name is Derek, and let's get into it. So Max Meyer, what's the main things about him? Well, he's 23 years old. He's a right-handed pitcher, a starting pitcher who stands at 6 feet tall and weighs 196 pounds. There's right-handed. He bats left-handed, but let's be honest, pitchers hitting right now doesn't matter. The Marlins signed him for $6.7 million coming out of the 2020 MLB draft, and because there was no 2020 minor league season, so 2021 is going to be his first year in the minor leagues. So what did the Marlins do? Yeah, you're getting thrown to the wolves. Have fun in Double-A. That is a massive, massive jump in competition for Max Meyer. Massive. And they threw him, legitimately took him and said, you know what? Have fun. Have fun. Guess what? You're going to Double-A. It shows that they believed him, but it was also this thing of, yes, we believe in you, but you're getting thrown to the wolves here. Like, let's go. And he was easy college. He was not like a high school pitcher. He was a college pitcher coming out of the draft. So he had more experience. And, he went to the University of Minnesota, and in his 3 years at the University of Minnesota, his first year, I was out of the bullpen, a 2.27 ERA. His second year, mostly started a 2.47 ERA. That was his runs allowed per 9 innings. His ERA was 2.11. In his last year at the University of Minnesota, he only pitched 4 games, 27 innings, but a 1.95 ERA, and Marlins obviously took him third in the 2020 MLB draft. That last year was 2020, which got, obviously, the season got cut short because of the pandemic, which was probably unfortunate for Meyer, but the Marlins really liked what they saw of him, so they took him with a third overall pick. And in 2021, they sent him to Double-A, and in Double-A, he goes 20 starts for 101 innings, and he had a 2.41 ERA, and he had a whip of 1.22. That's very, very good. Very good, for especially a guy for his first year in Pro Bowl. I just shouldn't even say that's very good. I should say that's really good for a guy who it's his first year in Pro Bowl at any level of Pro Bowl, and they throw him straight to Double-A, and in 20 starts, he has a 2.41 ERA. I mean, yeah, that's insane. That's literally insane. Like, you look at that year for him, and you just look at it, you're like, that's not the year a guy come in his first year of Pro Bowl has, especially in Double-A. But leave it to Max Meyer to have that good of a year. And if he wasn't already highly touted being the third overall pick in that draft, and the Marlins giving him a $6.7 million signing bonus, if he wasn't already highly touted after that, geez Louise, after that year, you're going to be highly touted. Also on top of that, in 2021 in Double-A, he had a 3.34 FIP with that 2.41 ERA. So the FIP was definitely higher, but you know what? It's still a good year regardless. Moving on to his he had a short stint in Double-A in 2020. It's not Double-A, in Triple-A in 2021. He made 2 starts in Triple-A, went 10 innings, and what does he do? Gives you a 0.9 ERA, so he only gave it 1 run on those 10 innings at a 186 FIP. This year so far in Triple-A, Meyer has made 8 starts, 39 2/3 innings. Now, he is currently injured. He, I think as of a few days ago, he threw a simulated game, so he should be looking to get back on the mound at some point relatively soon. This year so far, though, he struggled a little bit, but he's still been a 4.54 ERA. Doesn't sound amazing, but remember, Triple-A, it's the minor leagues. Sometimes guys' ERAs can be inflated. A 3.76 FIP, a 3.88 expected FIP, and you look at it, his ground ball rate is the same as it was in Double-A last year. His home runs per fastball rate, well, yeah, it's a little higher. His BABIP is lower. The home runs per 9 is up though. The walks per 9 has dropped a little bit. The Ks has dropped a little bit. The Ks per 9 are about the same. Just giving up a few more home runs. But like you're taking the jump from Double-A to Triple-A. You're gonna expect stuff like that to come. But the fact that he's not getting, totally overmatched, and it's only a second-year pro ball. I know, obviously, yes, in college, most guys that come out of college, even if they're going to move through the minors fast, their second year, they're still starting in Double-A, and they don't reach Triple-A until middle to end of the year. Whereas Meyer here, he just comes in, and here's the thing, even if you're a college player, you're going to start in Low-A at the end of your draft season, and then next season, if you're a top prospect, maybe it will start in High A. You cover High A and Double-A, and then the next season you cover Double-A and Triple-A, and then if you're lucky, you reach the big leagues, but most likely you're just gonna hit Triple-A next year and then the big leagues, or you start the season their third season pro ball in the big leagues. Myers jumped everyone. He did Double-A, Triple-A in his first year. This year, it was looking like, depending on how he did, could do Triple-A big leagues or just Triple-A and big leagues at the start of next year. With the injury, it's going to hold him back a little bit. But I don't see any reason why Meyer couldn't be in the big leagues next year. You look at him, and he's got a very, very, very good pitch mix, in my opinion. I mean, you kind of have to if you're going to be that highly rated as a prospect. He's a fastball, slider, changeup. A flat fastball on the 20 to 80 scouting scale. The fastball is rated 60, the slider 65, the changeup 50, the control 50, and then overall 55 for Max Meyer. So there's definitely the pitch, especially the fastball sliders, definitely there. And I think that, let's put it like this. Okay. If somehow, some way the changeup doesn't develop and starting isn't a plan for him, guess what? It's totally fine because his fastball slider so lights out, he would be an absolute lights out closer in the back of a bullpen. So I think you got to look at Max Meyer and you go, as long as if his changeup develops, he's going to be a front end starter in a rotation. There's no reason why he can't be. No reason why he can't be. However, worst case scenario, that changeup doesn't come out to how you would like. Well, guess what? He's still going to be a very, very good bullpen piece, most likely. A lights out bullpen piece, most likely. Because his slider in the 2020 draft was recognized as the best pitch in the draft. And when you have the best pitch in the draft, that's, something that you can say, you can look at that and go, yeah, he's going to at least, the very least, with his fastball also being a good pitch and having his slider, which was the best pitch in the draft class, it gives him a very high floor. You have to look at that too. He has a very, very high floor, and you start looking at it, and you start looking at him, and you look at him. It's like, worst case scenario, he's going to be a very good reliever, and the Marlins. I think that's what the Marlins obviously going to want to be a starter. Max Meyer obviously wants to be a starter, and I think he will be a starter. But it should be mentioned that worst case scenario, he's still going to be a good reliever. I think that still should be mentioned. I feel like that's his worst case scenario. Still a very good reliever. And I mean, and hopefully, he's not going to be injured for too long. Hopefully, I mean, I don't know if we'll get to see him in the big leagues here in 2022. It's all going to depend on how the Marlins are doing, too. How he's doing as well. Because the Marlins are truly going to stink it up. Then they could easily say, we're willing to give him a shot. But also, too, he has to be pitching well and look like he's ready for it. But I don't see any reason why he couldn't compete for a roster spot at the start of 2023, heading into 2023. And you look at his chances to make that roster. Yes, there's a lot of pitching on that Marlins roster, but it wouldn't surprise me if he made it at all. Would not surprise me at all. And yes, he's ranked 28th right now in the prospects, but there's a bunch of guys ahead of him that are in the big leagues or are about to hit the big leagues that are going to move out of his way in the prospect rankings. You could be looking at Max Meyer next year as a top 15 prospect in baseball. Ali Rushman, he's going to be gone. There's a chance Riley Green, maybe even Grayson Rodriguez, they could be gone by next year. Who knows about Gabriel Moreno? Maybe he'll be out of the prospect rankings if he plays enough games. CJ Abrams, maybe if he plays enough games. Shane Baz will be, maybe Cassis. Who knows? O'Neal Cruz, George Kirby, Nolan Gorman. Those are all guys ahead of him who could drop out of the prospect rankings. So you could legitimately look at Max Meyer and say, there's a chance he's going to be a top 15 prospect in baseball next year. And, if he can just pitch well, that he's only going to just get better and better, and his value is only going to continue to rise and rise and rise and rise. There's no reason it shouldn't do that. Especially with pitchers, when a pitcher gets hyped up a lot and they're pitching well, like that's the stars aligning in terms of prospect rankings of him to be ranked really well. He struggled a little bit this year, but I think he will bounce back. And I know Khalil Watson, very highly touted, was the Marlins' first round pick in this year's draft. But I do think that Max Meyer is probably by the end of this year, if he can get healthy and get back on track, we'll pass him as the Marlins' top prospect, just due to the fact that Watson's struggling a little bit this year, but also too, Meyer's right up on the big leagues, closing in. He's right there, and I'm going to make this call that Max Meyer will be on the Marlins big league roster to start 2023 if everything goes right. If he can get back healthy from his injury and pitch like the Max Meyer we know, I think there's no reason why he couldn't be on the Marlins opening day roster next year, or at the very least be on the roster a month and a half, 2 months into the season at the very least. At the very least. That's how good I think Max Meyer is. That's how excited I am to see him. I mean, I remember watching a Worcester Red Sox game, and Max Meyer's just like mowing guys down one after another, and it's like, dude, chill. It's like, chill. You've been in pro ball. You've barely been in pro ball for over a year, and you're doing this. Like, relax. It's AAA. Geez, you don't gotta do this. So he's got a very, very bright future ahead of him, and he's one of these kind of top pitching prospects in baseball. That if we look at the top pitching prospects in baseball and we exclude the guys who are, the guys that are already in the big leagues, you have Grayson Rodriguez, Daniel Espino, Grayson Rodriguez from the Orioles, Espino from the Guardians. Then you have Jack Leiter, obviously, who was selected second overall in the past draft, 2021 draft, and he's with Texas. And then it's Max Meyer right there, right behind him. Obviously, George Kirby and Shane Baz are ahead of Meyer in the prospect rankings, but they're both in the big leagues. So I said excluding guys from the big leagues. So you could legitimately say there's 4 guys ahead of him. I have Max Meyer in the minors. No, there's only 3 guys ahead of him that are in the minors prospect rankings wise. There's only 3. He's the 4th ranked prospect pitching wise in the minors. If you take out the 2 guys who are in the big leagues and that are ahead of them, so he's legitimately set up for a very bright future. Obviously, prospect rankings are prospect rankings, and they're just you can't just take everything from them. However, they show you where you can rank a player. Most of the time, a guy like Meyer, who's a blue chip prospect, they're more likely than not going to turn out. Obviously, not all do for whatever reasons, but most often they end up turning out, especially when they're a blue chip guy this close to the big leagues. Normally, they turn out. They normally do. And Max Meyer could be a potential ace that the Marlins would have to add on top of Sandy Alcantara and on top of Pablo Lopez and on top of all the great pitching that they have, whether in the minors or in the big leagues, like Edward Cabrera, who's in the big leagues right now, Sixto Sanchez, if he can ever get healthy, Jesus Luzardo. They have so much young pitching, the Marlins do. And Max Meyer really headline that list of young pitching, especially coming through the minors for the Marlins. And, you look at the Marlins system, you have Max Meyer, Yuri Perez, Sixto Sanchez is still technically a prospect. You have Jake Eder, Dax Fulton. So they have a lot of pitchers in their top 10 prospects, and it's headlined by Max Meyer. And Max Meyer is probably the closest to the big leagues out of all those guys, besides Sixto Sanchez, who is injured and I just want him to get healthy personally because I think he has a bright future ahead of him as well. But yeah, Max Meyer headlines these listed guys that the Marlins have. And the Marlins, if they can just get some bats, their pitching is going to be so solid with Alcantara, with Lopez. Then you add it, haven't had a guy like Edward Cabrera. Then you add in, the prospects they have with Max Meyer and all the other guys that they have. It just fits. It just fits perfectly. They have all the guys that they need. Also, Trevor Rogers, who was very good last year. He struggled this year. He struggled so far this year, but he was very good last year. So the Marlins have the pieces pitching-wise. They're going to have so many pieces pitching-wise. And they got such a bright future ahead of them. And don't be surprised. The Marlins are going to have a big three on the mound. They got the big two in the big leagues right now. That third one's going to be coming along pretty soon in Max Meyer. I'm ready for him. I'm pretty sure Marlins fans are ready for him. It's time for the rest of baseball fans to get ready for Max Meyer to make an impact in the big leagues sooner rather than later. But I think that one's going to wrap this one up, this prospect pipeline for Max Meyer. I'm very, very excited for him. I hope that, he can just get healthy. That's the big thing for him right now. Just get healthy, get back into the minors, get pitching again, and get back to where he was and continue to develop and get into the big leagues, at some point. That's the goal for him. That's all he needs to do. And realistically, just keep progressing. Just continue to progress and develop. That's the big thing for any minor leaguer. That's the goal, just continued development and progression so you can reach the big leagues at some point one day. And that day for Max Meyer's closing. He's closing in on that day when it will happen. So, yeah, that's big. I'll make sure to check out everything in the description, all the links, Twitter, Instagram, podcast, website, and all the cruise tours are also down there. Check out all our previous prospect pipelines. We're delving into the non-Red Sox prospects now, starting off with Max Meyer. Next week, we'll have Yankees prospect Jason Dominguez. So make sure to keep an eye out for that next week. Next Wednesday, on Friday, we'll have a video. We'll figure out what that one is. I think that one's going to be covering another person from the Yankees. We might cover someone from the Yankees. So get tuned for another Yankees video on Friday. Make sure to check out all our Red Sox game recaps previous and then the new ones. We'll have we just put up one this morning. And then we are putting one up tomorrow morning, every morning, 7 in the morning after every Red Sox game. So check all those out. And yeah, check out all our previous videos as well. Check them all out. There's a lot of good ones up there. So check them all out. This was the Max Meyer Prospect Pipeline on Bleacher Brawls. My name is Derek. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.